So how's everybody doing? Preston, do not drink any more coffee. You can't have any more coffee if you're going to yell like that. That's crazy. We ain't a football game, brother. We ain't a football game. So sorry to correct Preston right there about being that. So let's start back. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Okay, everybody doing good. It's good to have you here this morning. Let me tell you a couple of things that's going on. We've just lit the fourth candle that we've lit. So does anybody remember the order of what the candles were? They sort of called them out. Do you remember what the first one was? Hope, love. So that means you didn't remember. So hope, love, joy, and peace. The four different candles that we've lit. And what these do is they create a sense of light, a sense of anticipation, and the whole process of the Advent wreath is to help direct us toward our minds, our hearts, our thoughts toward the birth of the Christ child. That's what it's done. But years ago, there was another light that pointed people toward the Christ child, and that was the star. You've seen the Chuck Nose video earlier, and Chuck Nose Church, and it talked about what star you're following. Now, when we talk about the star and guiding us to Jesus or to Bethlehem for the wise men, for me, when we talk about peace and the star, I'm thinking, well, what do those have to do together? Usually when I see the word peace, or when I say the word peace, I'm usually following it with a couple other words. I want some peace. Does anybody know what the other two words are that I add to it? And quiet. I want some peace and quiet. Okay? I want some. Now, normally when I say the word peace, peace refers to me as absence of chaos. Okay? Absence of turmoil, absence of things that are distractions to me. You understand what I'm saying? Peace brings me this sense of centering. It centers me. In fact, I meditate. Now, I'm not an Eastern mystical meditation type person, but I do meditate on a regular basis. And when I meditate, I have a certain, different people do it different ways, but see, people have words that they focus on, but I have a phrase that I focus on, okay? My phrase is this phrase: peace, be still, and know that I'm God. And what I do is I begin by a moment of silence, and I've gotten up to, I'm really big time, so 11 or 12 minutes is my max. That's as long as I can go in silent meditation, but I'm working to expand that. But when I do this, I repeat this phrase over and over. Peace, be still, and know that I'm God. And as I say that over and over, I say it, and then I'll start to say it, and I'll drop one word off the end of the sentence and meditate or think about that for a while. So I'll start out, peace, be still, and know I am God. Peace, be still, and know I am. Peace, be still, and know I. Peace, be still, and know. Peace, be still, and peace, be still. Peace, be, and peace. And I meditate and I think on these things, and I think about what those words and what that means to me, of what peace is to me. I think that many of us in this world are all searching for peace. Not necessarily quiet, but just a peace, a calmness, some type of relief from the chaotic times that we're in. Now, it seems like it's magnified during the Christmas season. It seems like that all the chaos just gets more chaotic at that time, because it's like right now, everyone's out of school, right? So there's less people that are in certain areas of our life in this town where we're living at, that when we're traveling, but they seem like they all gather at the same place now that they're all out of school. Everybody is gathering at shopping centers or whatever. They're buying and they're going. So there's people everywhere, and there's just this chaos that's around. as people, and especially today being the 23rd of December, as people start to get their presents and get things, and they remember the last minute things that they've forgotten and who we didn't buy for, and oh no, somebody gave me a gift, I need to give them a gift, or whatever the different things going on, I got to get my house ready. And many people are just in a tizzy, if you will, getting prepared. John and Philly are moving. They're in the midst of moving, and yet they're a young couple, and they're spending this time in their first Christmas together. I talked to Devin, and Devin, where's Devin? Devin was somewhere. He was here just a minute ago. But Devin put up his first Christmas tree in his home. And he was telling me, I shouldn't have got a 7-foot tree. That's pretty big. I didn't know that. He said, I should have got one. He said, but, I thought it was bigger. And so there's these things that people are doing first, and it's a lot of things that are going on that can just be distracting. And what we're really looking for is peace. Peace. There's a lot of things vying for our attention right now. But we're not the first. You see, this isn't the first Christmas that's ever happened. This is several thousand Christmases later. Might not have been celebrated as Christmas, but it was celebrating the birth of Jesus for thousands of years. And over those times, different people have done it in different ways. Some worship, or some come together and they gather and they sing songs, and some have various traditions. Some have their own family traditions, some have their own cultural traditions, some have their own national traditions. It's just various things that go on to center people and point them toward Jesus. And others don't even acknowledge those traditions at all. But one thing is consistent, that during this time of the year, people are presented a great opportunity in the middle of a chaotic time to stop and pause and to just be still and know that I am God, and know that God exists. Peace, be still, and know that I am God. And that takes on different forms, and for many people it's taken on forms from various ways. So some people come to church and they're so focused on, I have to dress up and got to get ready for church, or I have a reading part that I have to do in church, or I have something that's involved in the service, or I've got to get through with the service so I can get back and go finish wrapping the last present, get the gifts together. And there's just all these things. My children are coming in. I'm not even able to go to worship service. I'm in a different place or a different time. I don't even live there. I don't even know anybody, so I can't. It's just not going to be the same. But here's the deal. In all these hundreds and up to thousands of years since Christ was born, people struggle with this all along. We're not the first to struggle with this. In fact, we struggled last year with it, and the year before that, and the year before that, and there was a generation that struggled before that, of being able to just center ourselves and focus on the most important thing, what Christmas is really about. The story goes in the Bible that after Jesus was born, there's a story about wise men, sometimes called magi. And I'm going to read that to you today. Listen to what it says. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, in Judea, during the time of King Herod, magi, or wise men, from the east came to Jerusalem. And they asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose, and we have come to worship him." I want you to focus, put that back up there, please. I want you to focus on that last part. And we have come to worship him. The purpose of these wise men, no matter what the number is, the purpose of these magi to be in Jerusalem is one thing. It's not to come hang out. It's not to go Christmas shopping. It's not to just barter and exchange some things. They might have want to do a trade, be on the trade route or something and want to make some trade. It wasn't any of that. It wasn't that they didn't have anything to do. It wasn't that they were on holiday, that they were taking vacation. It was one thing that they came there to do. They came to worship him who was born King of the Jews. They came with one purpose: to come and worship what was born. They packed their bags. They got their things together. They must have knew that this was going to happen. They refer to a star. We've seen his star. But they must have been looking for this King of the Jews, what the Jewish people would know as the Messiah. And they must have been anticipating. They must have been waiting. They must have been watching for this. And when they saw this star, what they were looking for, what they were desiring, and then the star looks like it's meshed to say, this is the time to do this. This is the time. And so because of the King of the Jews, they saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. That doesn't, I don't know that how you translate this, doesn't mean that necessarily the star was like they had a stick on their back with a rope in front of a star hanging on it. They sort of followed like a carrot, that you would lead a horse. It just means they put it together and goes, he's been born, I see a star. And where would any king be of Jerusalem? Where would any king of the Jews be? Probably where the castle is, probably where the kingdom is, probably where the headquarters is. So let's go to Jerusalem. And they headed there, and they packed their bags, they packed their camels, they packed their donkeys, they packed their slaves, they packed their servants, they packed all the stuff that they thought they would need, and they packed everything they thought they could do, and they got everything and said, let's go. And they headed out. Now, they didn't know how long it was going to take, didn't know how far it was going to go. They didn't know. They just assumed when they got to Jerusalem that would be it. But it all stemmed from seeing a star. Just seeing a star. Now, this star wasn't hidden. It triggered something inside of these magi, inside of these wise men. But this star wasn't hidden. It was available for anyone to see. But you know what I found is when you go outside and you look up at the stars at night, when you look for one particular star, if you really don't know what it is you're looking for, you may be confused. I have this app on my phone, and I can hold it up to the sky, and I have no idea how it works, but it's really cool. But it'll show you the different stars, the different galaxies, the different planets, so that I say, look at that star. I'm like, that must be Mars, and then I hold it up, and it's like, no, that's Mercury. Or you understand what I'm saying? And it just sort of lets me know that. Here's where I'm coming with that. There's a lot of things that are vying for our time and our energy and our attention, just like the various numbers of stars in the sky. But you got to be careful which one you choose to follow. Because though they may look alike, if you follow the wrong one, you could deviate off the path of where you're supposed to be, or where you're anticipating, or where you're desiring to be by a great deal if you follow the wrong star. See, I think that at Christmas time, we get focused on the things that aren't about Christ, that we get focused on things that aren't about the true meaning of Christmas, of worshiping Christ. We could get caught up in the stuff that's going on in our life, the turmoil that's going on in our life, the difficulties going on in this world, and not focus on Christ. We can get very far from where we want to be, where our hearts long to be, where God wants us to be. See, these magi, they followed cultural logic. Cultural logic is, well, if he's the king of the Jews, he must be where the castle is. He must be where the king would stay. So let's go there. So they followed their cultural logic after seeing the star, and they come to the king, anticipating to see, to meet, to worship this king of the Jews. Listen what happened next. When King Herod, who was the current king, heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. And they read it to him. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who would shepherd my people Israel. They knew. I'm just going to stop there a minute. They knew. They knew that that's where the King of Jews would be born. It didn't take them long. It didn't take them months or years. It didn't take them a whole lot of calculations to figure out where it is. They knew from the Scriptures, the same Scriptures that you and I have today. They knew where the King of the Jews was going to be born. And yet, they made no preparations. Now, it's not like the wise men that they would have had to go a great distance. The distance between Jerusalem and Bethlehem is 5 miles. 8 if you go the long way. 5 miles. They knew, and yet did nothing. Bethlehem was still a sleepy town. It was still a town that was filled with shepherds. It was out on the outskirts of the town, and it's where a lot of the shepherds lived, and near that area, and they raised their sheep to be used for the sacrifices that happened in the temple on behalf of others. And so this area was known to everybody. But it would seem to me like if you knew something big was going to happen in an area, you'd move your place there and be waiting. You know? There's some land up and down the outskirts of our town here in this city that is about to be developed into huge shopping centers, some other things. You know, if you knew that was going to happen 20 or 25 years ago, you would have bought that land at dirt cheap. And then when the big event happened, you'd have it all. But not this king. In fact, they had to go out and do like many of us probably have done in the past, pull their Bibles or pull their scriptures out and dust them off and then try to find it and then try to go back and go, I remember I saw this maybe a long time in Sunday school or something, or maybe I saw this, somebody told me about this, and we try to find those things that these wise men obviously, who aren't Jews, know about. I'm looking for something. I'm looking for the King of the Jews. I've come to worship. So Herod called the Magi secretly. He didn't want anybody to know this conversation. So this conversation is on the down low here. And he found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. This is critical. The reason he wanted to know the time of the star is he has another plan that we'll learn about in the later weeks. But that plan included trying to kill that baby king of the Jews. And because of that time that he found out from them, it was determined that it was when he went to go kill him, he killed all the male boys 2 years and under. So there was a timing issue here. But he finds out the time, and he says, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the child. He said, I want you to go. I want you to go and search for this child. I want you to go and search for this king of the Jews. Notice they don't say baby. No, go and search for this child. To us, it's a baby. And as you find him, report it to me so that I can come and worship him. See, at this point, he says, and it says, after they heard the king, they went on their way. I'm just going to pause there. After they heard the king, they went on their way. See, I think they really heard the king. We've come here from hundreds, maybe 1,000 miles away. I'm not sure how far they came. To come here for this point after seeing a star in the sky that was evident to you and evident to everyone else, to your culture, to the king of your people, and we have come because we understand the importance of this thing, and we're coming to worship the new king, and you live here less than 5 miles from where this has taken place, and you won't get up from your busy schedule, from your stuff that's going on, from your parties, your agenda, your daytime, whatever you got on your planner, from all of these things, and you can't get up and move 5 miles to go see him? Oh yeah, we hear you. We hear you loud and clear. We'll go without you. Because we're coming to worship the King. See, that's some of us in this room. Some of us in this room over the next several hours before Christmas will be so caught up in everything else, we won't take a few minutes to be alone and ask for peace. Help me be still so I can know that you're God. And you came to earth. We won't. We'll get so caught up. We'll say, well, we've got our family traditions. I'm telling you, there's all of these traditions and all of these things going on in people's homes that they've done. And sometimes there's new traditions. Sometimes when we get married, John, there's husband and wives that come together and there's families that come together. And we've got to figure out which place are we going and which day are we going. As we get older, some of us get older, our children, our grandchildren tend to go different ways. As we move and get different jobs, move to different areas, we're away from family. Some of us are away from loved ones because they've passed and gone on before us. And yet we get involved in all of these things. We get involved in our own world, our own loneliness, our own excitement, our own joy. We forget Jesus. And we who have the ability to say, peace, be still. I need to know He's God. We don't. We don't. Oh, we may at the end of a long Christmas Eve or a long Christmas Day lay back in our beds and go back and go, oh, thank you, that's over with. But then for many of us, we go, oh, that means I got to go back to work. I got to go back to doing the other stuff. And we forget Him. Not these wise men. Not these strangers from another country that wanted to see Him. After they heard the king, they went on their way. And the star that they had seen, it rose ahead of them until it stopped over a place where it was called, where the place where the child was. Again, I just want to refer you to this point. The star rose after the king told them the baby was in Bethlehem. You tracking with me? The star rose again, and they'd seen it rose, went ahead of them until it stopped over the place. But they already knew it was in Bethlehem. See, I don't know if that star is a star, is an angel. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I know there was a star. I believe there's something. All I know is the God of the universe miraculously allowed those people who were searching with their heart for the Messiah to just come and worship Him. He moved the universe to allow them to see it and allow that light to happen. See, many of us are looking up in the stars or up in the sky for our stars. And maybe it's right here. Maybe it's hearing a couple read about peace or joy or love or hope. Or maybe it's the Christ. Maybe it's taking our time and just spending a few moments in the Word over the next few hours, next day or two, to just pull the Word back out and relook at it. Matthew's a great one. Look at that. Matthew chapter 2, this is where it's happening. Look at the story in Luke about Jesus. Find the one, whatever, because inside of that you will find your star that will lead you to the Christ child, as it did these magi. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. Wouldn't it be nice to have that feeling during this chaotic time in your life? To be overjoyed? Overjoyed meaning that joy is just flooding out of you. Your others can see it, they sense, and they gain it from you. And coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary. And they did what they came to do. They bowed down. They humbled themselves. And they worshiped Him. Then they opened their treasures and presented their gifts of wisdom. Their gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. I want you to look at this. And they bowed down and worshiped Him. And do you see this word right here? T-H-E-N. Do you know what that means? What's that word? No, T-H-E-N. Then. Afterwards. When do they present the gifts? After they worshiped. See, sometimes we got it reversed in our culture, don't we? It's all about the gifts. It's all about the exchanging. It's all about the family. It's all about the friendship. It's all about this. It's all about that. And when the truth is, right there in that sentence, they bowed down and worshiped Him. So here's my question to you as I close out. What are your plans to bow down and worship the King this year? What are your plans to take time to do that? Not present to go. Don't focus so much on what you're going to present to someone else or what you're going to be presented with, but what you're going to do to bow down and worship Him, because that's the gift that keeps on giving. That's the gift that the baby king was looking for. Because I can tell you, to a child less than 2 years old, gold and frankincense and myrrh mean nothing more than the container they came in, because that's probably what they're going to play with. Right? They're just going to open up the box and like a 1-year-old, just going to play with the box. They don't know about the other stuff they get. But I can tell you this, little children, when you come and spend time with them, they know. That makes the difference. So wouldn't it be the same with the King of the Kings? What if we come to the realization that maybe some of these other things are distracting us from what's really important this year? That maybe we need to just pause and say to ourselves, peace, be still. God, help me know that you are God. And worship Jesus. I believe that as you and I do that this season, things could change. I believe with all my heart that it doesn't matter how you get to this point. It's getting to this point that is the most important thing. Those wise men packed this material and stuff in their bags, and they brought the people, and they started traveling, and they go to this area to look for this king. But they really didn't know how long it was going to take to find him. So they took what they had, and they came there. Now, once they got to the place that they thought it was, now they find out they got to go further. They got to go 5 more miles, and he's not just in a castle. They don't even know which house he's in. And there could be hundreds of homes that they're going to have to search. And now this thing has just gotten more complicated. Maybe they could say to themselves, well, let's just go home. He wasn't at home. We knocked on the door. The king wasn't in the castle. He wasn't here. I'm done with it. But you're so close. Well, I don't know if we have enough food provisions. I don't know if we have enough stuff. I don't know if we have what we need to keep looking for walk another 5 miles and feed the camels and feed all the people that we got and the whole ensemble that we got. I don't know how we're going to go find door to door. Do you know there's a census going on? These guys didn't come to get counted. Remember, there's a census going on. All the towns are full. They're trying to be counted. These guys didn't come to be counted. They come to be counted on. And so everything is full, everything. And so they make their way with what they had. Maybe you didn't pack enough to get to this point. Maybe you've been packing for the wrong thing, but right now, you're here. And in 48 hours or less, it'll be celebrating Christmas. So what if you just took what you have right now and you bring that to the king? And you set whatever that is to the side, all these important things that are going on, all these things that you think are the most important things right now. My kids won't know what to do if I don't make them that pie. Set that pie to the side and take a moment and bow down and worship God and thank Him for Jesus. Because without the birth of Jesus, there is no hope of resurrection. This is the story.